Hi everybody, welcome back, glad you could tune in again. Jonathan Edwards has some really esoteric thoughts, but they often seem to have some remarkable practical implications. And one example of this is found in Miscellany number 105. The title of this little extract is, quote, "Saints Increasing Knowledge in Eternity." Let me read a few extracts from this. Again, I'm going to paraphrase into more modern English. I'll read them, and if you're like me, you will think, yeah, how could that have anything to do with anything practical? And then you start to think about it and realise, really, it does. Let me read a few things that he says. Quote, "The saints shall grow in holiness and happiness in glory, because their thoughts shall increase to eternity." He continues a short time later. "After we have lived in glory for 1,000,000 ages, we will have many more thoughts than we had at first. And we'll never forget what's happened in the past. And as our thoughts increase, so will our appreciation of God's wonderful providence and all the glorious things that he has done." And then he continues again a short while later. "And as we see more and more of his excellencies, so we will love him more and more, and the more we love him, the more delight and happiness we will have in him." So there you can see he's building an argument which says that in glory, for 1,000,000 ages and 1,000,000 more, our thoughts and therefore our appreciation of the glory and goodness of God, and therefore our happiness and our holiness, will keep increasing forever and forever and forever. He actually cites a biblical text here, or rather he cites a note that he'd made on a biblical text, Psalm 89 verses 1 and 2, which say, "I will sing of the steadfast love of the Lord forever. With my mouth I will make known your faithfulness to all generations. For I said, steadfast love will be built up forever. In the heavens you will establish your faithfulness." And you can see what sparked this thought, can't you? In Jonathan Edwards' mind, what he was thinking is, okay, so I'm going to sing of the steadfast love of the Lord forever, specifically in the heavens. And twice it says, forever, forever, and in the heavens you will establish your faithfulness. So Edwards is thinking, yeah, even in glory I'm going to be singing of the steadfast love of the Lord, and so on. That's what starts him off on this train of thought, perhaps. Okay, so there are some, feels somewhat esoteric, not irrelevant, but not immediately practically relevant to our day-to-day lives, until you stop and think about it. And perhaps think about it like this. How much of our day-to-day lives are occupied with personal development, personal growth towards accomplishing things here on earth? Well, a great deal. And obviously, that's a good thing. But it's interesting to reflect, isn't it, on what kinds of things we ought to be focusing our attention on. We have 70, 80, 90 years here on earth, if the Lord gives us that long. And in comparison with glory, 1,000,000 ages and then 1,000,000 more, and then we still haven't really begun. I mean, that 70, 80, 90 years isn't really a very long time. And isn't there a danger that we try to pack into this 70, 80, 90 years the pursuit of happiness? Well, Jonathan Edwards says that pursuit of happiness is what's going to occupy us by virtue of the fact just that our thoughts will increase for 1,000,000 and 1,000,000 more ages in the resurrection. The question, of course, arises, what are the specific things that we can only really do here and now? We have a very short length of time here and now, 70, 80, 90 years, if the Lord gives us a long life, to accomplish all the things that we've got to pack in before the resurrection. What things are there that we're pursuing right now that actually, it's not that they're bad things or even that we ought to abandon them completely, but there's some case to be made for saying, wouldn't it be good to focus our attention on specifically those things that we ought to be pursuing now for our own sake, for the sake of others around us, for the sake of friends in the church, for the sake of the wider world, that we can only pursue here and now? It's a question to leave you with. What is it that you could only do now for the sake of those around you in the church and in the world, which will actually place us in a position to begin enjoying more of the goodness and wonder of God's providence and God's kindness to us in glory than if we had tried to seek other things now. It's a little bit like what Jesus says, isn't it? Seek first God's kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things shall be added to you. Some thoughts to leave you with this morning. Lord bless you, and look forward, by God's grace, to seeing you soon. Bye for now.